Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome to the Arseholics podcast on a fucking hell. What day is it? Tuesday? Tuesday. I mean, fixtures. I require Premier League fixtures to calibrate what day of the week it is, and so preseason is just a nightmare for me. But everyone, welcome to the podcast. As I said, this is probably like I look forward to this episode every season. Today we're going to be doing our squad review, so we're going to reflect on the squad that we have today, make some assumptions on who we're going to bring in, and go through and discuss who we think that we would like to keep, sell, buy. If I could, please, I always forget to do this, so please, can everyone, if you haven't already, and if you listen to this, would love it if you could subscribe to the podcast and share, tell your friends, everyone. It's awesome. Even if you don't really like it that much, just tell people it's good. It's just, I just really appreciate that. For those of you who can't see them, you've got Mize and Aaron with me today. So, proper Three Musketeers action going on. Hello, boys.
Hello. You good?
Three Musketeers action sounds a bit pornographic, doesn't it?
I mean,
it didn't until
anything for hits.
I probably shouldn't have put that into people's minds. And good evening, everyone who's with us, including Russell. Russ, evening, man. Emery throwback. Wonder what he's getting up to in the transfer window behind the scenes with Monkey. Do you remember when Monkey was linked with Arsenal and like he was about to be our sporting director? Do you remember that?
Is that how you say it?
I thought it was Monchi.
Oh, this is like, who did we discuss last time that you said really weird? Caicedo.
No, yeah.
Guys, I was listening to this. It's Caicedo, right?
Well, how did Raj say that?
Caicedo, I think it was.
Well, hang on, all right, fine. But I said that, but I did take your pronunciation. I went with it. I didn't fight it. After you won with Lopetegui.
Yeah. All right. So Monkey is
Monkey.
It's definitely not Monkey.
That's what you said. What did you say?
Okay. The Monkey. That's fundamentally different pronunciations. Okay, this wasn't on the agenda anyway. So what we're going to do is, obviously we're not going to go through every single player in detail because that would take too long. Okay, so what we decided to do is the boys have Aaron and Mize have given me their review. So they've gone through each player and they've said, out of those players, is there anyone they would sell or loan? Yeah, and they will send it to me. So Mize doesn't know what Aaron said and vice versa. And they don't know what I've said. So we're only going to go through properly the players who at least one of us has said that we should loan or sell. I hope that makes sense. We're going to go through position by position. And I created slides, which is really exciting for anyone who's watching, But obviously, if you're not watching and if you're just listening, I'm sorry, but I will just make sure that I tell you what I'm seeing. So give me 1 second. Okay, let's make sure I can do this.
Proper
window. All right, here we go. All right. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay, good.
You can. Oh, brilliant. Okay. Awesome. So I can't see your faces anymore, by the way. So I'm just seeing my PowerPoint slide here. All right. So, let's get cracking. So the first assumption, guys, that we've made, we are heavily linked right now with three players: Kai Havertz, Declan Rice, and Jurriën Timber. Kai Havertz looks like it's done. Probably going to be announced in the next couple of days. Declan Rice, that saga bloody just continues, man. As of recording right now, all we know is that Man City made their bid yesterday or today, was it? And it got rejected. And the anticipation is that Arsenal are going to go in with their third bid. By the time you guys listen to this, if you're not listening to it live, that bid may have already come through and been rejected by now. I don't know. But anyway, at the time of recording, we're still very much in it. And with Jurriën Timber, it seems very progressed, and it seems like we've agreed stuff with the player, and it's just all about agreeing with the fee. And there's no sign that there's anyone rivaling it for us. So we factored those into our assumptions here. We haven't factored in any other signings, because we are linked with Lavia and a few others. But when we've gone through the squad, we've not assumed anything aside from those three transfers that I've said. So assume that if it's not those three players that come in, it's players who are very like for like. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. So, guys, defenders. Right. Unanimous keeps. These are the 5 defenders that we all agreed we should keep. So I don't think there's anything to dive into, guys, on this. But were any of these 5, were any of them borderline contenders for any of you? So
No.
I should read it out, shouldn't I? Sorry. White, Gabriel, Saliba, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko. Those 5 we all agreed we should keep. So sorry, back to you guys. Any comments on any of them?
I think they're all nailed. I mean, Tomiyasu, you can maybe argue with rumors of Timber, and they sound like similar sort of ish players, but I think Tomiyasu has a big season to prove his fitness and his reliability. So kind of just give him the benefit of the doubt. I think everyone else kind of speaks for himself.
Yeah, I think with Tomiyasu, he's going to, assuming he's fit for the start of the season, I think he's going to be that guy that covers a number of defensive positions, the kind of utility man at the back, and could become quite key at certain periods of the season. So yeah, I definitely want to keep him.
Totally agree. So nothing else for me to add there. I was a request from you both, because so now I'm sharing the screen and I don't want to screw anything up. I can't actually see the comments. So if there are any comments that you guys want to put up there and read out, please do that. Don't wait for me to do it. Is that all right, guys?
Yep.
Wicked legends. Right. So the first player that at least one of us wanted to move on is this guy. All right. Rob Holding. All
Sorry,
3 of us said.
I was going to say, like, if someone said keep him,
no,
there would have been a riot here.
So
Okay,
at least one of us wanted to move on, and Holding, all 3 of us wanted to sell. Guys, do we any comments on this one? It's one of those. It's sad to say it in some ways. It's so unanimous that that we want him gone, but his time's passed given the level of the team, in my opinion. Mize, do you have any comment?
Not really, mate. Yeah, I think he's been a good servant to the club. But like you say, kind of his time has come. We're moving on to bigger and better things. Basically, I think last season was evidence that he's just not at the level. Even as a 4th or 5th choice centre back, we need better options. We need more mobile options. And yeah, we just can't afford to go into another season with him. Just the risk of him, that risk or potential risk of him coming in if we have a couple of bad injuries in defence. Just don't want to see it this season. So yeah, absolutely. Let him go, even if it's. I don't know kind of how long he's got left on his contract. I'm not really too fussed how much money we'd get for him. Just I think his place in the squad should be taken up by Timber, Kiwior, obviously, Tomiyasu, the guys that we want to keep. So yeah, thanks Rob Holding, but yeah, time to say goodbye.
Aaron, what's a good fee for Rob Holding? Do you care?
No, I think he can do well. Like this time last season, I was like, he could go somewhere and actually go to a kind of bottom half Premier League club and start and actually do well. But I don't know if he's actually a good defender anymore either. That's the worry. I still think he can go to a good few clubs and do a decent job. He's English. He's been in the Premier League, very experienced. He probably won't demand a good wage. He's a good guy. I like him. And let's just, treat him with the respect he deserves, but let's not mess about. We should move him on, and it should be not even like if Rob Holding is still here and within touching distance of the squad, then something has gone very wrong come August.
I mean, we're obviously very early on in the window. I was just checking exactly how old Rob Holding is, because he's not really old, is he? I don't want to say, is he 28? 27?
Late 20s, yeah.
Yeah, 27. So he's going to be 28 in September, but still really, really good age. I was having a conversation with some non-Arsenal fans about this, and they were really disagreeing with me when I said that I think that he can command a decent fee, because I think that, in my opinion, Rob Holding would be an asset to any of the kind of teams who think they're going to be in the bottom 5, bottom 6. I mean, this is a guy with so many appearances under his belt for Arsenal, Premier League and in Europe. And we know what his skill set is. He still gets minutes for Arsenal when we are low blocking, we're trying to defend, seeing a game out. He's deemed good enough to be in a squad that was trying to get into the top 4. And I sort of feel like if you're one of those bottom 5 sides and you're thinking about survival, I mean, really, come on, as I said, 27, 28 years old, English, experienced, surely you should be able to demand an okay fee. Like, I mean, given the amount of money that you see some players go for, I mean, isn't he basically the defensive the defender version of Chris Wood?
Yeah, fair enough.
Chris Wood's an
Yeah.
international though, so slight difference there. But
Did Rob Holding get in the England squad once?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Oh,
Oh,
did
Chris
he?
Wood is what? Is Australian?
New
is he?
New Zealand,
Chris
I
Wood,
think
New
he's from
Is
New
it?
Zealand,
Zealand.
Mate, Rob Holding would be New Zealand captain.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think, yeah, you're right. I think he could do a decent job. His experience. I didn't realize he was only 20. You said 28,
27.
27. That's he looks older, doesn't he? But no, look, I think, yeah, if he's 27, you can get decent amount, but anything more than 10 million is
I
great.
mean, I think you get more than that. I don't mind if I go mad about it. So I'm pretty sure that, like, if we really marketed it well, everything that I've just said, right? Surely he's worth like 15 to 20 million.
No way,
No,
man.
man, come on.
No.
But okay, can we talk about
He's a centre
like?
back.
I know, but can we talk about the amount of money that some of these
It-
players go for?
His contract's apparently up. So Russ has put a comment up here. I guess you can't see it, Raj. So his contract ends in a year,
Okay.
which must be a factor, in terms of whatever kind of fee we could get. But I can't see us getting anywhere near 15 million. Definitely not 20. I'm thinking kind of 7 to 10 million.
Yeah, that would be 7 would be good.
I would have been.
Yes.
I would be happy with that kind of money, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Maybe I'm over egging with the 20, but 50. Like, come on, man! Like, he would be an asset. He could be the difference between a team going down and staying up. He's
Yeah,
got
'cause
that
he could-
much experience.
But he could also send them down too.
He's not that.
It's a risk.
Come on, man! Like, he's not.
I think.
If he's good enough to get minutes at Arsenal, surely he's good enough to get minutes at, like, I don't know, Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, fine. But would they pay? Maybe. Look, let's see. I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's.
he's been linked with a loan to Besiktas, right? Is it a loan? So I think that
Come on,
might
man.
tell us that there might not be that many suitors for him this season in terms of actually getting a fee for him. So I think, like I said, I think it's more about his squad place for us. And if we get a fee, then great. But if we can get him out for a season, and just, like I said, squad places, we need to fill them up with top quality. So either way, but yeah, he's definitely a sell or loan.
Fine. All right. So the next one is probably the most interesting conversation of them all, I think, because it's definitely one that's divided Twitter. I think I've changed personally, I've changed my mind about this a number of times, I think, over the last month or so. But here's what we thought. So Mize is the only one out of the three of us who says keep, and Aaron and myself had said sell. So Mize, do you want to give us the argument for keep?
I didn't prepare this, so yeah.
What was your rationale? What was your rationale?
Rationale was, I think, so like, obviously Tierney didn't get that much game time last season, so I can understand why, from his perspective, he might be looking to move, and obviously he's one of our players that would command a decent fee. However, I think, if on the assumption that we get Timber in, it feels like Timber's going to be the right-sided Zinchenko. I know he can play a couple of different positions, but it looks like he could be, that player on the right that can also play midfield, that can invert. And I just wonder if that means that there's potentially an opening there for Tierney in certain games where maybe Zinchenko's injured, but also when we might want to play a slightly different style, not so much style, but just set up slightly differently. Timber on the right, he's the guy that goes centrally into midfield when we have the ball, and then Tierney, as we know, is a decent defender. He can play left back, he can play centre back, but he basically makes up the third, the three in defence. And I feel like the other reason why I sort of feel like we might end up keeping him is because going into the end of the season, there was a lot of talk about him leaving. There's a lot of talk about Newcastle and those links and sort of £30 million, whatever the number was. That seems to have quietened down a lot. And I just wonder if that is as a result of maybe everything I've just said, but also maybe Arteta has him in his plans for this season. And I think we've also got to frame it with what we have coming up this season, right? It's a very, very different kind of outlook in terms of fixtures and the level of games that we've got and the frequency of games that we've got, because we want to go far in the Champions League this season. And I think, to be honest, we want to go far in all in all our competitions at the FA Cup as well. And I just think that maybe there's a chance that Tierney plays a decent number of games this season. And I wonder also, if we were to sell him, who really is our left back cover? Like, I know that he's a very different player to Zinchenko. I know we've got someone like Tomiyasu who can play there, but really, if us to go and find someone in the market, considering I was going to say the struggles we're having at the moment. I don't think we're necessarily struggling, but there's a lot of work that we're doing in the transfer market in other positions at the moment. Obviously, the Declan Rice deal seems to be the one that is really taking up a lot of our attention and focus. But yeah, I just think if we were to sell Tierney, yeah, it's money in the bank, great. But then, do we have enough cover in that position, given we're now a Champions League team and we need a Champions League squad? And I always also compare it to City. I always look at City. You've got to look at City as the model now. And there's no first 11 for City. They don't have really a first choice left back. They play players based on the system, and they just have 20 or so very good players. And I think Tierney is potentially one of those players, and I think he'd be really hard to replace as well. So yeah, I would want to keep him. I think unless a ridiculous offer comes in, I don't really see the need to sell him. Unless he's itching to get out because he wants to be a starter for another club.
I think those are all pretty compelling arguments to keep, to be honest. Aaron, and what is your counter on this?
I think it's one of those where it's like, look, we always go on about Arsenal not being good at selling. The reason we're not good at selling is because we sometimes probably hold on to players a bit too long, or like we only have to sell players when they're like completely useless to us. And I think that objectively, Kieran Tierney has not been on Arteta's plans for like 2 seasons, at least a season and a bit. And Arteta has shown, especially last season, where like Tierney had a chance and he never really got settled in the team. And then towards the end, Kiwior was playing left back, right?
Which, by the way, can I just say,
yeah,
for some reason he was not on this list.
I was just about to say, like, is he coming up and, like, is someone saying we should sell him or something like that?
No, I know. I figured that you guys might think that. I'm sorry, he was not on the squad list that I provided. So I think he's a unanimous keep. Oh,
yeah,
keep. Okay, fine. So he's a unanimous keep.
Kiwior can play left back.
Yeah.
Zinchenko can play left back. Tomiyasu can play left back. Maybe this Timber guy can play left back as well, I think. So that's 4 possible left backs. So look, I think we all like Kieran Tierney. He was like that first signing. We were like, oh, this guy could be really good. He's like, could be a superstar. Like that first signing of the kind of new project bit. And I just think, look, he's one of the players that we can sell that will generate decent value, right? And he's a player that can go to a Premier League club and do very well, assuming he fits their style, right? A team that wants a crossing left back, someone running up and down the touchline, who doesn't really care about like building up possession. He just wants someone to get in the box, cross it to a striker who will put those crosses away. There are a couple of teams out there that, like Newcastle's the obvious one, that will just really, really benefit from that. We will not benefit from that as long as Arteta is here, and we want Arteta to be here forever. So, well, not forever, that's an exaggeration, but at least for as long as he continues to do what he's doing. And I think we just need to move on. It's sad, but we can't. We're at the point now where we have like 20 odd players that we all like and are good players, but we kind of just need to be ruthless. I think the only way he ends up staying is kind of what Mai said, is if money doesn't come in. Like if for whatever reason no club manages to, like, if people start bidding like 10 million for him, 15 million, I don't think we should sell him because he is a decent player. I'd be very curious to think what Raj thinks he's worth. If he thinks Rob Holding's worth 15 million, Kieran Tierney must be worth about 50. So
just before you go on to Raj, just a question, Aaron.
Yeah.
So the basis for you saying you'd want him to go, is it just the money? Like I get, like I can't disagree with a lot of what you said around he's not really in Arteta's plans. He's not really he doesn't really fit that kind of left back mold that Arteta is looking at. But do you? Yeah, I mean, is there any other like
money and squad place? Yeah, because I think what's the point of having him around if he's going to play 3 games? Like,
I mean,
if he's going to play League Cup games. There's no point keeping him, right?
Well, I mean, this is the thing, right? I think I'm looking at it more from a depth perspective, and you mentioned Kiwior at left back. I mean, yeah, but that's a little bit untested at the moment. He's only just signed for us, right? Like, well, whatever, his first season. Oh, this will be his second season, sorry, but there's still a question mark over him in general in our team. And same with Timber, really. Like, I mean, we haven't even signed the guy yet officially.
So is Tierney. Tierney has just as many questions as Kiwior.
Right? I think you know what you get with Tierney, though, right? Yeah, he doesn't necessarily fit the system, but I think if you've got 2 players on either side, in Zinchenko and Timber, that can play that inverted role, then you kind of get the balance on the left and the right. So depending on, do you know what I mean? So I guess I'm looking at it more from a squad perspective, and I'm thinking if the worst happens, where you get a couple of like Zinchenko gets injured and Gabriel gets injured, so we're going to have to play one of those players that you mentioned in the centre back position, and then we need another left back. We kind of it starts getting a little bit short.
No, I get that. I just think so it is mainly the fact that we can't really afford to have let's say a £30 million player being our 3rd choice left back. And that's the rationale. We're not Man City yet, right? We can't afford that. We need to sell.
Even if we were Man City, I think. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
No, go on, Raj. Carry on. Go on.
Sorry, it's because I can't see your faces. I'm just like, apologies. I think even if we were Man City, I think that one of the biggest reasons why I think he's probably looking to sell, although I think Arteta will keep in that scenario that you guys have discussed, which is that the requisite money doesn't come in, is you made this point various times last season, and I don't think Arteta knows what to do with him. And I think that's actually probably not that dissimilar to when Pep gets some of his sort of tradition, even like Pep's like how Pep manages Kyle Walker is really interesting, right? Obviously, he clearly values him greatly in certain respects, but he just struggles to figure out what to do with him. I think Kieran Tierney is like an exaggerated version of that. Because if you think about it last season, it's kind of damning, right? When Tomiyasu was fit, there were times Tomiyasu was starting at left back over Tierney, even when Tierney was fit. And towards the back end of the season, Tierney was fit and he was playing Kiwior at that left back position. And the system that he played was slightly different, but he was playing him there. I feel like the other thing is Arteta seems to, quite obviously in some ways, like the players that he signed. And it just seems like there's this gradual kind of purging of the people pre-Arteta. So for a lot of those reasons combined, I do feel that they'll look at Tierney, they'll go, if we lose him, it's not the biggest deal because Zinchenko's our first choice left back. Kiwior, we've been trying to kind of integrate him to see if he can play in that kind of area. Tomiyasu can play at left back. So you've got basically 3 people who can play left back if you need to play left back. So then it gets a little bit, is this someone who we can realistically sell? Because we're probably going to need to, right? We're going to have to sell some people. That was my rationale here. And I think a good one to watch out for is Aston Villa with Tierney, given he was an Emery signing. And given that, they are playing a system which I look at sometimes and I really do. It does really remind me of things that Arsenal used to do. The whole getting it wide, low cutbacks. And Tierney's really good at that. He's a really good traditional fullback. I look at that. I can look at, Newcastle as well. There are some other teams. But yeah, I think if the money is right, I can see it happening.
What do you guys think is a fair price for Tierney if we were to sell?
You're going to think I'm going to come out. No. I'd say I'd like to say sort of 30 million, 25 to 30 million.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say a lot more, to be honest, but okay, yeah.
25 to 30. I think it'll be very hard if a bid came in for like 30 million. I don't know. The player market is weird now, man. Like it's just I don't know. I don't know what players are worth these days because you get some
Because he
weird
barely
things going on.
because he barely played last season.
Yeah, but he's still a very
why I
good
think
player.
I know, but I think yeah, okay.
So I think he could be like a big signing for like Aston Villa's a great shout, like a club like that, and he could genuinely transform them as a club. Like if he like you look at what Trippier did to Newcastle, he could go and do that at Aston Villa and just turn a good club into a great club. And I think if you got that, I don't know how old Tierney is, but I think 25 million minimum. So yeah, I think that's it. Like, could we, like, if we had unlimited squad places and unlimited money issues, would I keep him? Yeah, because I like him. I think he's a great player, but we've just got to be a bit more ruthless in selling players that we like, basically.
Fair enough.
I agree. He's 26. It's still great age. Yeah, be great to get something like 30 million for him. But anyway, interesting. We move on.
No,
wow.
Cedric.
No, come on.
No. When you say no, come on. We could all. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I was like, I thought we were going to enter into debate here.
No,
and I was
I'm
like,
saying.
no, let's...
We've all said sell here. Mai's like, Mai's put in some of his responses to players like Cedric, sell stroke terminate. And the only reason why I didn't put that on is because I think because if Aaron had that option, I'm sure he would cross out sell and he'd write terminate.
Terminate contract. I should
He's
clarify.
out of contract, isn't he? Or is he still in contract?
No idea.
Because we gave him that like 10-year deal or whatever it was, like a few years ago.
So the Arsenal website's really confusing because it's just really slow. So they've still got Ainsley Maitland-Niles on there. They've still got Pablo Mari on there in the squad where we've sold Mari to Monto and Maitland-Niles doesn't have a contract anymore. Like which the club have announced he doesn't have a contract. So I don't know actually if Cedric's contract is out, but he's still there on the website. But yeah, I mean, like this is like the most obvious one. We don't even have to discuss this anymore. Cheers, it'd be good for him if he can carry on at a team like Fulham or something like that. But hey,
another 50 million from you, Raj, for Cedric.
I think it's going to have to be a free, really. Right, Nuno Tavares. Right, so all three of us have said sell. Which is interesting. I didn't think that we would all say sell.
Really?
I thought because I was deliberating over loan. He's seemingly had a decent enough loan spell. Maybe I'll make the arguments for potentially loaning. I mean, I think he is still young, guys, right? Like he's not like some old player, and I think that it was a really sensible decision to go and send him out on loan last season. He seems like he's developed as a player. If he could get a loan at a Premier League club, then I would probably like to see that. But I feel like there's something that Arteta doesn't quite like about him. Maybe there's an attitude thing. I don't know. So overall, I'm sort of I was inclined to go sell. We
should get decent money for him as well, right?
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think? What's decent money for him?
How much did we pay for him?
I don't think it was that much. He was a kind of backup at.
I to say like 7 million.
Something like that. That low?
I can have a look.
15 or so. Okay.
Let me have a look. Tavares.
I don't know what. Probably 15-ish. Do you reckon we could get that for him?
We signed him for 8 million.
No. Okay.
We couldn't get 15 for him,
No, I don't think we get not from France. Like,
I mean, he was starting for. Was it Marseille he went to?
Marseille, yeah.
He was playing a lot, scoring goals. I know that. I think he had a few moments as well.
Oh, yeah. No, I think again it's one of those. Like, if we can break even, get 7 million, 8 million.
Transfer market value Nuno Tavares at 18 million euros.
There you go. So bang on because I was talking pounds. 15.
How much they value Rob Holding at?
I'm genuinely curious. Okay.
Negative 2 million.
Rob Holding is valued at drum roll 8 million euros.
No, see that's nonsense. They think Tavares is double the player Rob Holding is.
Well, that's probably an age.
Mate, that's such a
if he's younger, like you could. Tavares at least has got sort of, he could probably do well in another league.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that.
All right.
But
Yeah.
fine. Interestingly, we all did this thing sell. Okay, the last one is Austin Trusty, and there's a little bit of difference here. So Mize and I have both gone for loan, and Aaron's gone for sell. Look, admittedly, I think we'll all admit we don't really know a great deal about this guy. I based my decision on the fact that he was, I think, Birmingham's Player of the Year or something like that last season. So it was a successful loan spell. He was obviously signed with some sort of connection with the Cronkies because it was Colorado Rapids and that's his club, and there's something American related there, and feeder club related if you like, or whatever. So it might not have been purely for football reasons that he got signed in the first place, but he had a good loan spell. So I've put down loan because I think that if he can get a Premier League loan, then it'll be really cool to see how good he actually is. But if he can't get a Premier League loan, then I would want to sell him. I wouldn't want to keep him. Mize, is that relatively consistent with your thought process?
Yeah, like I heard good things about it, the loan that he had, but I don't really see a space for him in the squad. I think he's not. I don't think he's like young, as in he's a kid, but I think he's still relatively young. And yeah, like you say, it would be good to actually see what he can do at a higher level, and then with a view to maybe seeing if he's going to be potentially at the level that we require for next season. Raj has left the conversation. Just me and you, mate.
No, he's just so offended by
what's happened there.
Well, he agreed with you. He does this nowadays. He just leaves the podcast halfway. No, so why I put sell? I think we just need to get into a habit of just being a bit ruthless. When players have good loans, they're doing well. Like you said, he was player of the season for Birmingham. We just need to be like, this is probably as high as his value is going to get. Like, I know you think he probably could go well. Like, I think the chances of him doing well again in the Premier League are probably low. So we should just capitalize. This is the peak of his value. Put a massive sell-on fee and say, just sell him. Like, this deal seemed dodgy from the start. Like, I know I don't want to go into like conspiracy theory, like nonsense, but this is Man City level of dodginess, this deal. Like, why have we signed him and then loaned him out to Birmingham? And
I've just come back to hear the end of the slander. But...
No, just like I don't understand. I don't like. Fine, we did it. It's probably going to work out well. But I think this is purely he was always a financial instrument. Like, let's get him into England. Let's make some money off him. Move him into England. Get the value of that transfer rather than Colorado Rapids, and just exit him into England and job done. Well done.
I appreciate that it looked very skeptical when it happened. I appreciate that, but you can't. I mean, he obviously isn't rubbish. Like, he went on loan, was basically their best player.
He's not a Bebe or something like that, right? But maybe the chances are you could gamble, right, and say give him another loan and see if he does better. But he could also do worse. And right now he was a top championship player. I don't know what the average transfer fee for a championship defender is. Probably not much, but I don't think we paid anything for him. So did we pay something for him? You're going to tell me what we ended up paying 10 million for him or something like that. But
no, I don't think so.
But just move him on. Like, again, this is not something I'm going to like quit the podcast over. Like, if you want to loan him out, it's okay. But I think we should just sell. Like, it's one of those that if an offer comes in, just sell. If not, put him on loan. Keep recycling that deal and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, he's 24 years old, so in fairness, he's not that young, right? Like, yeah. I would like to see, given how well he did on loan, I would really like to see if there's a Premier League team that would have a punt. But then, you look at it and you think, if he's 24, I doubt, like, even if he has a good season at a Premier League club at 25, is he going to be coming and making his debut for Arsenal? Probably not, right? But just before we move on, can you guys still hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Constant like issues at the moment with the setup. But are there any comments that you guys want to shout out. I saw some in my brief kind of, recalibration.
Russ did say Austin Trusty will never kick a ball for Arsenal, and he thinks that we will definitely make a profit on Tavares. So I think I'm inclined to agree with him on both of those points, actually.
Okay. Let's go on to midfielders. So
wait, are we not doing goalkeepers? Are we late?
No, because we all said that we would keep them all.
No, I didn't say that.
Who did you say you get rid of?
I said we should loan Turner.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Right.
Everyone's just decided that we don't need a backup goalkeeper because Turner is the guy. But let's maybe that's a separate podcast. But I'm just
go on,
Raj.
No. All I was saying was that our assumption was that the only players that we were going to sign were the ones that we knew about.
Okay, so we don't sign. We're just okay, fine. Well then, yeah, but then we'll never sell anyone. Then, like, we just can't sell any. Fine. Okay, fine. Let's say, all right.
You actually think? Okay, let's pause on the midfielders. That you think that we will. Do you think it's realistic that we'll go into the market for a better backup keeper than Turner?
I think if we go into the new season with Ramsdale as 1 and Turner as 2, we are taking a big risk for this season.
Who out there has
has Turner convinced you that he's like good?
He's convinced me he's good enough to be a backup keeper.
Yeah,
not in the Champions League. Let's say Ramsdale's out for 3 months.
We don't know if Ramsdale's going to be good enough for the Champions. As in, we don't know how any of these players are going to be. Really, apart from the elite ones that we've got.
Fine, but let's say let's say with the Europa League and Ramsdale's out for 3 months. You think
I don't know,
backup keeper
who are you thinking of though? Because I know we can't do this whole. You use it. This is what you do when we have the conversation. You say, "I'm not a scout. It's not my job to find another player." No, but I'm saying
Scout-holics. This is Arseholics.
I think Myers and I's point here, is a very simple. Who look at other teams, right? Who has a backup goalkeeper, a second goalkeeper that is, close to the quality of their first goalkeeper? Because who's capable of being good enough for Champions League football is going to go on. Sorry,
this is going to stretch my knowledge now, but City's backup is
Ortega.
Is he better than Turner?
Well, City fans seem to like him. But,
Ortega's good, right? Yeah, all right. That's Man City. Let's part them. Liverpool. Who have they got? Back
Adrian.
Kelleher, isn't it? Both of them. Is it Kelleher?
Have they? I thought they've ended up selling Kelleher, but I think they've still got Adrian. But you might be right. They've probably got Kelleher and Adrian.
I thought okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Better than Turner.
The fact that we don't know tells us a lot, but okay.
No, but do you think Liverpool fans are just sitting there on their podcast talking about
I
Turner?
think Liverpool fans Liverpool fans very much dislike, they very much dislike, but you hear them complaining about Adrian any time he gets close to the team. But Kelleher is, I think, someone who's quite highly rated. He's quite young, I think. He's but okay, but he's not. But he's not.
Right, Man United. Who's Man United's backup? That's They used to have that. What's his name?
Dean Henderson.
Is he on loan? Was he on loan at Forest?
I think he went. Didn't he? I thought he went.
I thought he was going back to United.
I don't know about that, but okay. But context, right? Henderson. I don't know if he's still there, because De Gea was the top paid goalkeeper in the world at 275k a week or something like this.
Yeah,
and in the Premier League, it was something ridiculous, right? Henderson was the second highest paid goalkeeper in the Premier League at 200k a week. So they're paying him that much to just keep him happy.
Fine. I take your point. I'm not expecting a good, a world-class second goalkeeper, right? Because you're right, they're not going to play. But I haven't yet seen enough from Turner to convince me that he can do the job of a number 2.
I think that's quite harsh, to be honest, mate.
He's okay. He's, put it this way: if Ramsdale got injured, we would be in big trouble.
Yeah, I agree with that. But then I think you say that about every.
Exactly, I was just about to say that. Yeah, and you could probably say that about quite a few players in our team, pre-signing the players that we're planning to sign. I think he's a pretty decent backup, and I don't think he did anything like there were. I can't remember any massive clangers from last season.
There are a few.
Like,
there was one in the Europa
was-
League, right? I think.
Yeah, that was
I
that
mean-
one with Kiwior as well, right? It was like when sort of they didn't really. He didn't go for the header, turn it in, catch the
okay,
ball.
fine.
That one.
But you could probably point out a number of Ramsdale mistakes.
True,
I know he's
true.
playing more
Yeah,
games.
no, yeah, but
so
that's
like, I mean, I'm
fair.
not, here to.
Let's
I'm not
see. Let's see.
slating
I think
Ramsdale.
like I can see why we'd give him another season, but we are running a bit of a risk there that we might. Maybe it's one we address in December, January, once we've given him another half a season to see what he's like in a couple more games. But I wouldn't be surprised if we go for a goalkeeper in January.
That's interesting. I mean, I also wonder how highly they rate some of the younger keepers, right?
Yeah.
Because that Carl Hein he's an international goalkeeper for Estonia, right? I think,
Yeah.
and Okonkwo is meant to be quite talented. So I wonder if they rate them enough to consider them and give them actual minutes. But anyway, no. I mean, hey, good shout, Aaron. At the end of the day, it's
And Russ is asking, would I sell Turner over Runnison? To be fair, I didn't even know Runnison still played for us. So no, if that's an option, I would. If we can sell Runnison and get another keeper in who's of equal quality, like another gamble of a keeper who could be good, I think that's okay. But if we're running Turner and Runnison into next season, that's a massive risk. So yeah, if Runnison's going, I think another keeper or even Carl Hein might step up.
Yeah,
that way.
I think it's a risk. I don't think it's a massive risk. I think every probably top club, apart from City, is probably running that same risk.
Yeah, fair. To be fair, I do think Carl Hein could do pretty well. Maybe Carl Hein is the guy that comes through instead.
We shall see. Let us move on to midfielders. After that segue, unanimous keeps Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard, and Emile Smith Rowe.
Aaron's selling everyone, isn't he?
This is interesting, right? So I was going to make that comment at the end of this. So there's it's a very interesting pattern where the two of you are like very different in your outlooks here. And like, no spoilers, but I think, Aaron and I don't think we've got many players left after Aaron and David's squad. Honestly, like I'm not really sure how he expects to get through a season.
I was very, very close to putting Partey as a sell.
Yeah,
I bet you the way we pitched this, which was like, if this happens and this happens, should we sell Partey? And that's Partey's a whole different conversation. Yeah.
So let's go with the first player, Granit Xhaka. Mai says keep, and Aaron and myself said sell. So this should be quite an interesting one because Aaron, you were advocating last season for the sale of Granit Xhaka. You were probably one of the only Arsenal fans who was advocating for it. And then obviously the news came out pretty before the last game of the season or 2 games before, that there was it sounded like there was an agreement that Granit Xhaka had to leave the club and he wanted to go back to Germany and Bayer Leverkusen with a likely destination. Now, all the reports in the press seem to be that it's basically a done deal and Arsenal are only going to confirm the deal once we sign a midfielder. So, if Declan Rice comes in, for example, that, he would get sold. So I will actually just kind of then use that as a platform to say that is basically the core reason for my option here to say sell. Like it's partly because I feel like the club are gonna do it, like in they're set on doing it, and so it's part of a plan. If it's part of a plan, and if his head says that he wants to go, it sounds like it's partly come from him. Then I feel that he should go, and maybe it's just a good opportunity to get a little bit of money and move on. Aaron, do you want to expand on why?
I was actually a bit 50-50 on this one. I think my view is we can't sell Partey and Xhaka in the same summer. That seems like a lot. And it sounds like Havertz, it's probably warrants a bigger discussion, but it sounds like Havertz is being earmarked for this left 8 type role, at least his place in the 11. And then again, the big assumption is we get someone like Declan Rice over the line who can play in a more advanced role or a deeper role. And then you kind of think, well, it's a bit like Tierney, which is like, do you want to keep someone can we afford to keep someone like Xhaka around who's going to be like third choice potentially in that position? So then I'm like, let's probably sell him, especially if he wants to go. And I think, again, now is a good time to sell Granit Xhaka. that was my original point that I made a few months ago, which was this seems like the right time to sell him. His value is going to be at a peak.
We
He's
so we
probably
know
not
what
gonna
that
sign
value is roughly, right? We're
that
told that
20
there's an
million or
agreement,
something.
but I think it's a bit less than that. I think we're told it's like 16 million euros or something.
Okay, which it seems to me a bit low, to be honest. But
Yeah,
I think there's just mutual agreement that this seems to be the right time to do it. So that's kind of why I put sell. If Partey ends up going, does that change things? Like logically, in terms of positions, probably no. But then it does seem like a lot to transition through in a single summer.
yeah. So my so do you think this is short-sighted from the club, and do you think they should have been, if let's say it is a situation where Xhaka has said that he wants to go, do you think that the club should have said no fucking way, we're in the Champions League, you've had a great season, stay?
No, not really. I think I was pretty. It was a bit of a. I was going back and forth on this one, basically, similar to Aaron, and I wasn't. So it's not a sort of a convincing keep from me. I think my main reasons for wanting to keep him would be, I think his experience. Like, I know we've talked about Xhaka so much, like between us as mates, for the last few years, and especially on this podcast, and I think I don't know, I just feel like his experience in that role that he took on last season, that new role, and just potentially his presence in the dressing room. Like, I think we saw it quite a lot last season as well, being basically the on the pitch and probably in the dressing room leader of the team, like the real leader of the team. I know he's not the captain anymore. I wonder how we may end up missing that. And you hope that other players do step up, but when I kind of look across the team, I'm not sure that there's another kind of Granit Xhaka type in the squad, and I think that might prove invaluable when it comes to, again, crunch periods of the season, or certain points in the season where we're really going to need that kind of leadership. And I think also he's come off a really good season, right? Just like I said, in that position, I think something like 7 goals and a number of assists. And I know that we're looking at Havertz as a better option in that role. But I guess for me, it's more a case of I completely get why we might cash in on him. It's a good opportunity to take some money for him. And I think it looks like he wants a new challenge as well. But I think also, if he were to stay, I think there's a place for him in the squad. And I also think that, like that kind of experience could potentially prove quite important. But like I said, I'm not like dead set on keeping him. He's not a player like I'm absolutely desperate to keep.
Good points, though. Really good point. I think about the dressing room point is a really fantastic one. I can't visualize who the like for like replacement is. I know we've got Zinchenko in, who is quite a vocal guy. It seems like quite good behind the scenes. I wonder if Declan Rice is coming in. He seems like a leader. He's a West Ham captain, all the rest of it. So it'll be interesting to see who fills that void. It's certainly been this really interesting dynamic at Arsenal, hasn't it? Where I think, despite all the years where where Jack has been a bit of a maligned figure, it really has always felt that he's had dressing room influence, and the players respect him. So it is interesting. Let's move on to the next player, Mohamed Elneny. What a man. I mean, what hair, what a guy, what a character. But unfortunately, it is unanimous from the three of us. All three of us have gone for sell. Is this a bit of a Rob Holding situation, guys? Is it just like, oh, we really love you, a really lovely guy, and you served a purpose, but it's probably time that you left the club?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a keep him around the training ground, but like Robert Pires used to rock up and just stay around after he retired, like that kind of vibe. But I suspect Elneny will want to play, and he shouldn't play for us. I don't mind. Like, if we sell him, or if he just leaves on a free, or we terminate and he just still turns up to train, whatever. Like, nice guy, but just, again, we need to move past him.
He's younger than I thought he was, actually.
How old is he?
30.
Okay, yeah, he's still got, again, he could go to a bottom half Premier League club and just play 20 games a season for them and do all right.
We just need like a Saudi club to come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
40 million, mate.
We need the Saudi club. He could. I'm sure he's angling for that, right? he must be angry for a Saudi club.
Maybe.
Like, why not at this point? Who else is going to like give him a big fat paycheck? Because
he's out. Oh no, we renewed his contract, didn't we?
Yeah,
that for like a year,
Yeah.
1
though.
year. Yeah,
For like 1 year. Yeah, interesting. Okay,
he's always been linked with Turkey. Sorry, not to labour on the point, but yeah, he's always been linked
Yeah.
with Turkey, and I feel like that might be a destination for him. But yeah,
because he went on loan, right? He went on loan to Besiktas from in 2019, 2020 season. Played 27 games and seemed to have done okay. Here's an interesting. So just want to make that comparison with Holding, because I think which is one of you mentioned. You can see him getting a lot of minutes at a kind of Premier League, a lower half Premier League club. So as much as I agree with that, right? This again is like one of those things where if you imagine he goes to a club in the bottom half of the Premier League, or say even bottom 5, you can't see him making a material amount of staying up difference versus Rob Holding. I don't want to go back to the Rob Holding conversation, but I feel like there is value. There is some of these players which are just, you imagine that they are just going to be really good when you're under the cosh. Like, and I don't know if Elneny is that. I don't think Elneny is great if you are completely under the cosh. I think Elneny is really good when you've got possession and you just need someone to sort of kill some time and just slalom around the pitch a little bit. But
we should. I can't believe we haven't offered him to West Ham. Part of this Declan Rice deal.
It is true. Sambi Lokonga, guys, right? Sambi Lokonga, what have we gone with? So they were different. So Myers has gone with loan, Aaron's gone with sell, and I've gone loan stroke sell. Now I don't want to say that's sitting on the fence. The reason why is that it's very, very, very specific. My personal thing is he either has to be on loan somewhere in the Premier League for a whole season, or we sell him. Like, there's not it's those scenarios. Those are my scenarios. Myers, should we start with you on this? You don't think we should sell Lokonga. You don't quite think he's ready to be in the squad. You want to loan him. Why is that? What's your position?
I think we saw like flashes of, I say flashes, just maybe moments where he looked like he could, he looks like a player, and then equally there's times where he's let games pass him by. I don't know if he really got loads of game time at Palace. Maybe he did, and he just didn't really perform or didn't really show what he could do.
He got loads of time before Hodgson came.
Yeah.
So in that Vieira point, and Hodgson just didn't play him.
Yeah, I think with him, it's just there's just a bit of a question mark in terms of, like, he came with a big reputation. There's a captain of Anderlecht. Vincent Kompany was talking about all the rest of it. So I think we had kind of high hopes for him, even though he was a fairly young player. And I guess it would be good to see what he can do for another, again, kind of similar to some of the other players we talked about, for another Premier League team. So I just feel like it's a bit early to say, to write him off and say, let's sell him. I'm not sure we'd get a huge amount of money for him either. So yeah, I think for me, it's more a case of give him a loan. Hopefully he gets, plenty of starts. And like, I still don't know what position he's best at or would be best in. Not really sure exactly what his qualities are. Like, I think from the documentary, the All or Nothing documentary, I think it was from this, I think he was playing as more of a holding midfielder for us when he got a few games. I think at the start of the season before last, when Partey was injured, but I think he mentioned that he prefers to play a bit further up the field, and obviously there's no way he's going to get any minutes with us in those positions. So I think, if he could get a loan that kind of works out for him, and then let's see what happens. Maybe it just maintains or increases his value, or maybe it puts him in the frame for potentially coming into our squad the following season. But I just think it's just like, we just don't know like how good he really is. So that's why I'd probably just want to loan him before we just sort of before we sell him, basically, and don't kind of give him another chance.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you on that, Aaron. And you want to cut ties now?
Yeah, I think he's 23. It's not young anymore, man.
It's not old either, though, is it?
No, but yeah, I guess in central midfield, maybe you've got a few more years to like really hit your peak, right? Especially in that position. But look, he couldn't do it at Palace, struggled to do it at Arsenal. Like, maybe loan if you think that he can maximize his value, but maybe squeeze a few more million out of it. But I just think, for the sake of the player, he just needs to go somewhere where he can find his level I don't think it's going to be in the Premier League, to be honest, at least not yet. So just convince someone to give us money and move on.
Well, I feel like because of, Miles, you mentioned the Vincent Kompany thing, right? Vincent Kompany were raving about him before he came to Arsenal, called him the new Yaya Toure. We sort of said that that's who he reminds him of. Burnley in the Premier League, and I can really see them inquiring about Lokonga. And I sort of feel like if we just loaned him to them, then there's a really potentially good benefit for us, right? So if we loan them to them, good chance the company manages to get something out of him. His value goes up. And then if he wants to leave or if we don't want to keep him, I feel like he'll have more value after a season with Burnley than he would right now. What I wouldn't want us to do, what I'd hate to happen is for us to sell him to Burnley, say now, for like 10 million or something. And then for him to really, really like kick on. And then all of a sudden in a year, 2 years, be worth 20, 30 million. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's why I was going to go with loan sell. Right. Jorginho. Interesting one. Miles has gone keep. Aaron's gone sell, and I've gone keep. Aaron, you want to start this off? Why do you think you want to sell Jorginho? Hello?
I want to caveat this.
Yeah.
With I kind of did this on the basis that we might bring in another midfielder. And,
okay.
and
even though you had explicit instructions to not do that.
No. So this was my thinking in that if Partey is staying, and let's say Declan Rice comes in, yeah, fine. This is why I changed my mind.
What's that?
Which is like,
let's take a beat for a second. Yeah. Let's look at the picture that's been painted right now on the screen. Okay, so right, we've got Declan Rice. It's in our Aaron and Arsenal squad here, right? You've got Declan Rice that's coming in, Thomas Partey that's being kept, and no other central midfielder currently is in the squad because he sold Xhaka, he sold Elneny, he sold Lokonga, and he sold Jorginho. That is the picture that's currently being painted.
But I mean, that's still like that's basically what we're running with last season, right? So it's not like we had Partey and we had Partey for the whole season. Then we had Jorginho and Partey. So like
what? But yeah, hang on.
Last season.
Yeah,
but at the base of the midfield.
But he can play there, can't he? If
can play there, fine, right? So I think, look, put it this way: if no one else comes in, fine. But I wouldn't mind a situation where we sell one of Jorginho and Partey and bring in another midfielder, and that to me would be okay.
Like I don't know what you think, Wes, but I feel like well, firstly, by the way, I don't know if you saw that Jorginho's agent gave an interview today and basically said, no, he's staying with Arsenal. He's happy with Arsenal. We're not considering anything else.
Also, he's only got 1 year left on his contract. I know we've got a +1 extension. This is his final year.
Yeah, I think he could be a really valuable player in this coming season with the experience, man. Like Champions League football, even in some of the big games in the Champions League, when you're going away to some of these kind of very seasoned, experienced clubs, like he's been there, he's done that. He's never like, there's a thing with him, right, where everyone's kind of like, oh, he's a bit older, whatever, but he's never had pace anyway. Like that's not been a thing. It's not like that's a drop off. He's an experienced guy. He knows what he's doing. He dictates, and there's a reason why, like, Arteta really wanted him and Pep has wanted him before. I think he could be really, really useful. And there's no bit of me that wants him to be sold. I really do think he could play a really big part next season as a really useful squad player.
Mate,
I
think you nail on the head, really. I completely agree. I think the Champions League point was the one that I was going to make. There's just certain games where you need, especially seeing out games, right? Like, away from home, tough European games, and it's going to be tough from the first game week, right, with the Champions League, and you need those sorts of players in your squad. And I just think, like, again, it kind of alluded to it with certain other players, but you sell him, who's then your backup, if you get a couple of injuries, or who's then the guy who comes on with 10 minutes to go to just take hold of the ball and kind of, dictate dictate play and control the game and slow down possession. He's perfect at that, right? So
yeah, I think I'm kind of change my mind a bit. So I won't sell him based on your conditions now. But let's say
You mean the conditions that I set out before?
Fine. But then I might be tempted to swap Jorginho and Partey. But
okay,
put it this way, if another central midfielder comes in, do you sell one of Jorginho and Partey?
I still think, Aaron, the numbers are still fairly tight. I think there's value in keeping a tight squad, right? But if we are playing the same formation as next season, and in fairness, that's not a given. But if we are playing that where we have two at the base of the midfield, right, like a 8 and a 6 or whatever it is, then you've got like Partey, potentially Declan Rice or a Declan Rice like equivalent. So you got those two, and then if we sign another one, then I don't know, let's just say it's Lavia or someone like that, and that's just 3. Like who else? Who else is in that kind of population? Like there's not many. Like we're one injury away from being a bit challenged.
Yeah, but we don't play
2 injuries away from a crisis.
We never play 2, right? We very rarely play 2.
What do you mean when you say that? Like as in I'm when I look at last season's formation, like out of possession, if you think Xhaka and Partey effectively, which were deeper players. I know that in possession, Xhaka sort of went up there, but I'm counting Xhaka and Partey as kind of 2 central midfielders.
Yeah,
here.
Fine. But then if you're looking at Xhaka's role, you've got Havertz who can play there. You've got.
We don't know that that's going to happen.
No, fine. You've got Trossard who can potentially play there. You've got.
But mate, that didn't happen last season, though, did it? Like,
yeah, I think he played 1 game there at one point, but that's it. You're right. I don't know. I think I see if we get one. Like, I think you're right. If we only get, let's hope we get Rice, then I think selling. We don't need to sell Jorginho. If we get one more, I think we probably actually sell Partey and keep Jorginho.
Yeah. The bit that I agree, so just very quickly, the bit I agree with you, Aaron, is actually that I think that if we sold Partey. Like I think if we sold Partey, I can only see us bringing. Say if we sold Partey or Jorginho, one of those, I can only see us bringing 1 extra in. I don't think there'll be like 2 extra in, if that makes sense. But sorry, Miles, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just going to say, like, I think out of the 2, I think we're probably more likely to sell Partey, to be honest. Partey and Jorginho. I think it's been talked about loads anyway, so I don't want to kind of cover that ground. But yeah, like the Saudi links. If good money comes in for him, I think I wouldn't want him to go, because I think he's the kind of player. Again, I'm looking at the squad and I'm looking at, okay, we bring Rice in, but if he gets injured, you need someone at that similar level or same level. And I think Thomas Partey is that. I think you look at Declan Rice, Thomas Partey is 2 of the best holding midfielders in the league when they're both fit. So I'd want to keep him, but I think if good money comes in for Thomas Partey, you've got to look at it. And I think the Saudi money that's being touted of, kind of basically what we paid for him, given that he's now 30, very much unavailable for periods of the season, like half a season. I think you've got to look at it. And I think he's probably the one that we're more likely to sell if it comes to it. But I think, yeah, I really would want to keep the depth in that midfield. I kind of get where Aaron is coming from, where we kind of only play 1 holding midfielder, but yeah, when we don't have the ball, Xhaka was dropping in. But there's just been too many times over the last few seasons where we've been caught short in certain positions where an injury's cost us. Happened this season, Saliba, Tomiyasu, it cost us massively. Partey getting injured in periods. I just want to have that, 20 players or so that anyone can come in at any time, or we can rest players, and there's no real drop off. And I think that's part of the reason why I think, keep Jorginho, keep Partey for me.
Fair, Miles. So there's one more name for the midfielders, Vieira. So it's a really quick one here. Like Vieira, surprisingly, I thought we'd all be saying keep, even though I know that it was there was debate over kind of his quality last season, but I've gone with keep. Aaron's gone with keep, and Miles, you said loan maybe. So I mean, do you want to just expand?
Again, I was a little bit unsure with him. I'm not sure if he'd necessarily benefit for a loan that much. I kind of look at it as if he stays in the squad and we're improving. well, maybe we're not really improving our attacking options because you look at Xhaka maybe leaving and Havertz coming in, and yeah, we make the assumption that Havertz plays in Xhaka's position next season if we play the same system. But I don't really see an opening for him, really. Like, I'm not really sure where he gets minutes, and I'm kind of looking at ESR this season as being someone who definitely plays a lot more. Unless we're going to say that he's potentially someone who's up for sale, but it doesn't look like he is. And I think that limits Vieira's minutes even more. I think Reece Nelson's just signed a new deal, like similar-ish positions. So you'd expect that Reece Nelson's potentially going to get a few more minutes. Balogun's coming back into squad. Like I know that they all played sort of different positions, but I'm just sort of looking at the kind of attacking 3-4 players, whatever. I'm just not really sure where he's going to get opportunities, and maybe the fact that we were all a bit underwhelmed with him last season means that, I'm kind of like looking at this kind of negatively. But yeah, I think he's still relatively young. I think he's still quite young, right? He's like 21, 22-ish, that kind of age.
Yeah,
he's
wrong. Young. Yeah.
So I think alone maybe, I think that's basically my rationale why I think alone might just work for him. I think physically he needs to develop as well. And, I think if he's not going to get many games for us this season, it might just be better. He gets a loan and gets a lot more minutes somewhere else. And then we assess it at the end of the season.
I was actually very close to putting loan for Vieira, but I basically was like, if I do that, then we're going to have no players left. So I decided against it. But no, it was basically the exact same rationale. That actually, if you look at Havertz, Smith Rowe, Trossard, who else did you say, Miles?
Nelson, as different.
Like I think does he get the minutes? And will we actually work out if he's any good?
So I think that there's a chance if Arteta thinks that he has improved or whatever, if there's some whatever work they're doing preseason, I can see him getting more games as number 10 to just ease the burden on Odegaard. I don't see ESR playing as a number 10. I don't see. I can see Havertz playing as a number 10. So I'm very intrigued to see where that all goes. But yeah, like I didn't think that a loan would be beneficial for him. And I feel like when we're going to give him another season, so let's see how it goes. He needs to have a good season, man. Like otherwise, it's not the Arsenal of old anymore, is it? We are trying to actually be somebody. So yeah, no room for passengers.
Rogers, there's one player I think we haven't covered on here, which I've just remembered, Charlie Patino.
Yes, I mean he was not on this. I just went for the squad list, but I agree. Yeah. I mean, there's Patino, there's Nwaneri as well. I mean, do you want to briefly touch on Patino and
well, I mean, no particular thoughts. It sounds like he wants to move, doesn't he? I think he's kind of coming back from his loan with Blackpool, wasn't it? And I think he's expecting first team football and he wants to start games. So it looks, but it's all gone a bit quiet again. I think that was quite, that was making the headlines a few weeks ago, but it seems to have gone a bit quiet. So I don't really know what's going on with that. But I would like to either see him go, like he's a player that's obviously come through and has been raved about massively for the last couple of years. And we saw him in a couple of games season before last, in a couple of, I think, cup games, FA Cup games, and he looked pretty decent, and he obviously had a very good loan spell. So he's someone that like everyone's got their eye on. If you're an Arsenal fan, you've got your eye on him, and he's similar to a couple of other players we talked about, where it's like you don't want to sell him now, and then he goes on to be this like absolute superstar, because that's what he's being touted as. So I would want to keep him for those reasons, but yeah, it's difficult to see where he's going to get game time. So maybe it's another loan, but yeah, what do you guys think?
I would loan him out again. He's 19, I think. And look, the reality of us becoming a better team is that these youngsters are going to have to wait an extra season or two to break in. And maybe that means another loan. Like Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, they were very lucky, actually, that they came through at the right time when we kind of were rubbish. And look, if there's a Bukayo Saka coming through now, there's every chance that he might not get in the team now because the current Bukayo Saka is there, right? So I think these players we need to figure out a way of just managing these young talents, because we do have a good academy, but it just means, you go on loan and then you go on loan again. But what's important is that when you do come back from a good loan, and we'll probably come on to this in a second, that we find a way of putting these players through the system.
Yeah, I think unless they believe, if they actually think that maybe they're not good enough to make it at a club like Arsenal, then I can kind of see it. And in that respect, I respect it. But otherwise, I think there's a lot of impatience here. If you look at a lot of the other top clubs, look at Chelsea, done it really well, right? Chelsea, for the last couple of seasons, their top young players, they've managed to keep them quite happy and loan them out to Premier League sides. Like, so with Patino, like, I can't, he's on loan at Blackpool, did well at Blackpool, but Blackpool got relegated. So you're playing for a relegation candidate. I'm pretty sure they got relegated. You're playing for a relegation candidate in the Championship. You can't just assume that you're going to be able to then go and make an impact next season at a team that finished second in the Premier League. Like, have a Premier League loan. If you are good enough, like, then a Premier League club will probably take you. If you're not, then that's a different, that says something else. So yeah, like, I really would like us to loan him to a Premier League club. I'd be a bit disappointed if he went, but I don't really see any other option for us, really, though, do you? Like, it's not like we're going to cave and go, oh no, don't leave, we'll give you some Premier League minutes just because we want to keep you. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening with Ethan Ranieri either, because it sounds like he's coming out of contract in the next week. He hasn't signed professional terms yet. And it sounds like Chelsea and Man City are really keen as well. You've got to hope that he gets good advice on this. Like, where is he more likely to get minutes in the long term? Where's more likely to be better for his development? The evidence surely has to say Arsenal. So
Amari Hutchinson is the prime example, isn't he?
He is indeed.
Apparently he's being loaned to League Two, the League Two team.
I mean, that's just
really?
Apparently, yeah, I don't know if that's true. Yeah.
That's poor, isn't it? In the interest of time, let us just kick on. This is a shorter section, so good. Forwards, right? Unanimous keeps. Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, Saka, Trossard, Balogun. Balogun being the interesting one here. So this probably already says, you could already tell where this is going to go. Then the big debate has been around, Balogun and Nketiah. Is there a world where they can both kind of exist? So we clearly have some slightly different views on that. But let's just go for the easy one first.
Before you move on, Raj, I don't know if this is news, but so I was just on Twitter. So I don't know if this is a good source. Graham Bailey of 90 Minutes Football, but apparently he said that Arsenal have I'll read the tweet out. Arsenal have told Balogun to search for a new club after he rejected the chance to discuss a new contract with the Gunners. In response,
guys, there's a bigger breaking news. David Ornstein, 32 seconds ago.
No.
32 seconds ago, Arsenal have tonight submitted a massive offer to West Ham for England midfielder Declan Rice. Proposal is for £100 million plus £5 million in add-ons. Would be a record for a British player.
105 million. Wow. I told you, didn't I? I said to you guys, did you see my message before? That something would happen with Rice while we're recording.
You tell Edu to just wait till we were on air.
This is
to drop
intense. 105 world record for a British player. They've got to just fucking accept. Like, this cannot go any longer. You don't respect to Arsenal. You know what? If we lose now, I don't care. You can't have a go.
There's nothing else you can do.
There's nothing else you can say.
No,
I don't even think Declan Rice is a 105 million player. Like, he is good, but
like you said before, Aaron, right? The market is mental.
The market is weird, right? Like they said, Rob Holding's apparently worth 35 million. What do I know?
Where'd that other 5 million creep in?
That's what he said.
I'm pretty sure I did that. Anyway, sorry, Miles, I'm really sorry, because when you said about that, when you started talking, I went on Twitter to see if I could see that, and then this came up.
I thought that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
That must have just happened as I
was like, mate, it's David Ornstein, mate. What are you on about?
What are we talking about then? Are we talking about Rice, or are we going to talk about? Are we going to talk about Balogun?
Anyway, I love that. I probably need some time to digest the Rice stuff. What was the Balogun story?
Well, I've lost the tweet now because I've gone on something, but it was basically on the lines of we basically said that he can leave, and there were a number of clubs listed that were now interested. It was like West Ham, funnily enough, Palace. I can't remember who they were. There was a few others. I'm just seeing if I can find the tweet again, but maybe not a good source. But yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, I think we have to. Like, I think there's a couple of things, and I know this isn't like the other thing. I think is actually really, really important now is he's declared for the US, and they're going into a World Cup where he's probably going to be their number one striker. So even if he doesn't play a single minute next season, his value is going to go up. Like, this is the worst time you could sell Balogun on the cheap. Unless someone comes and gives us 40 million, 50 million for him, fine. But I think commercially it makes sense for him to stay. I think footballing wise, it makes sense for us to give him a go. He can't do any more when he's on loan. It seems like a lot of people seem to have accepted that we might sell Balogun because he wants to play. But I think a big club tells a promising young player just shut up for a minute and just play your game. You've just come from a mid-table French team. Like, have a good pre-season, prove your worth, and you will play. Like, it sounds funny, but we were probably saying the same thing about Saliba 12 months ago. It's like, just come back from loan, just sit down, shut up, and play, and you will get a chance. And I think Balogun just needs to convince the manager that he can do a job, because Eddie got chances last year. The only thing that's stopping this is if his desire to play, like, he genuinely wants to start 38 games a season in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Which, let's say, he might not be able to guarantee that. But let's say he wants to go and be the number one striker at another French club, or go to Spain, goes to Italy, or wants to go to a Forest or a Burnley or something like that. Fine. But
I think we just shouldn't cave, though.
I don't know why you
do
do
long
that.
contract.
Yeah.
I think we use some of our negotiating position here. Like, a contract is also meant to protect the club. I know players have all the power, but even if he's getting a bit tetchy, I think we just say, listen, mate, sorry, you want to go out on loan, fine, but we're not selling you. Did you? And I'm sorry, but before, when you were talking about the commercial bit, I was a bit distracted because I was trying to see if there was anything else on Twitter around the deals. But did you mention about the World Cup point?
Yeah, like I said, there's a World Cup in the US.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's going to be the main striker because the US don't really have anyone else.
Yeah.
That's massive. Like,
that is massive commercially.
If he goes to the US and as an Arsenal player, like, I guarantee you, he is going to be there on tour, starting in the All-Star game, in the Man United game, in all of that.
Yeah,
like, we'll milk that, right? Because these preseason tours are not about football. Like, they're about making money. And that is that's how you make money, right?
100%.
And I think we're just right place, right time. Give him a go. Worst case, you sell him in a year, and his value will still be high because he's got that commercial value.
Very true. There's a name here that we've just left hanging for ages.
Nicola Pepe.
Right, let's rattle through this, guys, because this is turning into a marathon episode, which is what our squad review is always going to be. But we can do this quickly because we don't need to talk about this too much because we've all said sell Pepe. Look, what more to say? I mean, I know that there are some arguments to say that he's a chaos player. Mize, you made the point on a previous episode around, like, James' good point. It's like, what if he's around, if we, to break a deadlock, you never know what he's going to do. Bring him on and see what happens. Fair enough. Look, this is a guy who is our record signing. That might break very soon. But he is our record signing to date. Everyone associated with that transfer has been sacked. It was an internal investigation that literally, Tim Lewis was brought in and investigated it, and everyone got fired. Mental. And, we can't get this. No one who wants to buy this guy, seemingly. Like, I've not heard anything about him. All three of us say sell. Wow. Okay. Shall we just move on? Does anyone have any burning desire to say something about him?
Nope.
Legends. Funny. Okay. Right. Okay. Here's the big talking right. Eddie Nketiah. My says keep. Aaron and obviously says sell because he says sell for everyone. And I say sell as well. Let's go, Aaron. Why are you selling Eddie?
I think to make space for Balogun, basically. There's not going to be enough space for both of them to get the minutes they want. Unless for some bizarre reason that Eddie Nketiah is just happy to be third choice striker. But then you've got Trossard who can play that role as well. And actually, I think whoever out of Balogun and Nketiah plays will probably be third choice. Or like third choice when it comes to starting games. Maybe you probably have one of those as first choice off the bench when you need to mix it up and change things. But yeah, I think it's as simple as that. You kind of have to pick one. I think Eddie's had his chances, hasn't been able to lock down a regular run of form. I've never really thought he would be that guy. He works hard, nice guy, but just not at the required level for me. So he can go and he will have a very good career in the Premier League. And he might get 15, 20 goals a season. And fair play to him. That's okay. But it doesn't mean that he's right for us. Especially if we're going to block someone like Balogun getting a chance. And I think Eddie's had 2 seasons. Now it's time to give Balogun a shot.
That is a key point, isn't it? It's about, I think that unfortunately it's relative. It feels binary, doesn't it? I don't know how accurate that is, but it feels binary. It feels like it's an Eddie or Balogun situation to some degree. Mice clearly doesn't agree with that, so it'd be good to get your thoughts in a second, Mice. But it feels like it's just there's going to be lots of games, true, but I don't think Balogun. I can't see us keeping Balogun in the squad to play 5 games or even I think we'll be trying to play Balogun more. If we're playing Balogun a bit more, I just can't see where Eddie gets in, particularly now Havertz is there. There are other options like who can play centrally in the way that we rotate in positions and whatever. I just can't see it. Mize.
Sorry, I was distracted because I sent a screenshot of the Ornstein tweet to my football chat. Not the one with you guys in it. And then my brother-in-law is a West Ham fan that said, we're after 120 million, I've heard. Fuck's sake. How much money do these guys want? Yeah, look, I mean, I think this was one, Nketiah was a little bit, on the fence, undecided. But I put keep kind of similar reasons with a few of the other players that I want to keep is more around the squad. And it's a fair point that maybe it is just him. It's going to be him or Balogun. Makes it like, I feel like Arteta just really likes Eddie, likes having him in the squad. He obviously got a new contract, I think, was it a year ago? I don't see like decent offers coming in for him. Like, I think if any offers do come in for him this summer, they're going to be pretty low. And I wonder if that might be a reason why we rather than kind of accepting a low ball offer, we keep him in the squad. And like I said, I think he's a player that Arteta does like. But I think if you said to me if we had to choose one, Balogun or Eddie, I would want to keep Balogun and want to give him a go. Like, it doesn't really upset me it doesn't upset me as a fan if Eddie doesn't play more than 5 to 10 games a season. But I think having him in the squad could be invaluable if we have a similar situation to what happened with Jesus, where he was out for 3 months and then it's just Balogun this season, which is better than what we had last season. But then it's just him. And then it's like, oh shit, what if Balogun isn't as good as we all think he might be? Yeah, he scored goals in the French league, but that's not the same. So yeah, like, I think it's more, we know what you get with Eddie, decent squad player, probably not a player that I'd want to be at Arsenal in a couple of years' time, but for right now, on the assumption that we're not going to go and get another striker, then I just want to keep him around. But again, if big money comes in for him or good money comes in for him, then I wouldn't be too upset about him leaving. And we've got that bet, haven't we, Aaron? And maybe that's one of the reasons why I said we want to keep him. I want to keep him because we've got something like 20 quid riding on it, haven't we?
I think so.
Marquinhos.
Wait, did I say sell?
It's changing his tune.
No, I put loan for Marquinhos. What
Did
What
you?
are you doing? Yeah, I put
Did
loan.
you?
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I mean,
Come
I
on,
think
man.
I just,
What?
I think I
Marquinhos
just,
has done nothing, man.
I just think I just assumed, you know.
I'm surprised he didn't put sell Saka if it was like 150 million or something. Like that.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. You said load of sorry. I mean, I really do apologize. This was like very last minute slide work, but okay. Do you want to change your mind to sell?
No, I don't know, man. Marquinhos is Marquinhos. Come on, man.
Let him have a season on load.
Just let him go on loan. It's okay.
Do you guys what I mean, would you have what if he couldn't get a Premier League loan? Would you still just be willing to loan him out somewhere else?
Yeah, just let the boy play. It's okay, man. Like,
why is this chill? Where did this chill come from? Where was this chill with other players?
It's the same, same as Trusty. I don't think Marquinhos is ever going to play for Arsenal. Like,
So you think this is
don't know.
money laundering again?
No, it's money laundering, but it's like money. We'll just like look to get him into England. Another loan. We'll sell him for 10 million quid. Job done. That's okay.
All right. Reece Nelson. The final name to be discussed. Reece Nelson. So, Mize and myself say keep, and Aaron says loan. I mean, Mize, before we get to Aaron and can you see any sense in the idea to loan, or is your basis for keep anything to do with Saka and backup for Saka, even though Nelson didn't play that many minutes? What's your thinking here?
New contract that he just got. He just got a new contract, didn't he? I'm not making that up, am I?
Is that official, by the way?
I don't think it's official. It's not official.
Oh, is it not? Okay.
No.
Okay. Assuming that is going to happen. It's a weird one with Reece Nelson because, and we've talked about him a few times, where really promising youngster, very, very exciting player, kind of had a couple of injury problems, obviously went on loan a couple of times, hasn't really worked out, but you still look at him and think, oh, there's a player there. Do you know what I mean? Like every time he comes off the bench, he's the guy out of all of our other attacking bench options. He's the guy that comes on and makes a difference. And obviously the goal, the winner that he scored, the last minute winner that he scored in that game, was it Bournemouth? It was Bournemouth, wasn't it? Yeah. That was like a memorable moment from the season. But just in general, he seems to be a player that does come on and make a difference. And so I kind of feel like he is someone that if he were given some more game time, he could be a really, really interesting and dangerous player. And I've always known him as being a right-sided attacking player, but I know he's like played for us on the left and he's played a few different positions, but I would really like to see him as that Saka kind of backup player, the guy that comes on when we need to rest Saka for the last 10 or 15 minutes of a game, and let's see what he can do. So yeah, I don't really see any reason to sell him. And again, similar to a couple of other players, how much money would we really get for him if we wanted to try and if we put him on the market, how much would we really get? Is it really worth it? Then who we're going to have to replace him with another attacking player? I would have thought so, another winger. And that's obviously going to cost money. So yeah, I'm more than happy to keep him. And I think he's not going to play massive minutes. He's not going to be starting lots and lots of Premier League games, but he's a relatively decent squad player for now, I think.
Yeah, Aaron, do you want to loan him?
Yeah, so I think my only logic here was I almost put Arsenal to one side here, and I thought this is a guy that just needs to play regularly this season. Like he can't just sit on the bench. And I think that does leave us a bit short, and that's the risk. But I think if he signs a contract, 4 years or whatever, just give him a season where he can just go to a Premier League club like a Fulham or a West Ham or whatever, and just let him play week in, week out for a year, and we'll finally just work out if he's good. Because I don't think that if he just carries on being this guy off the bench, I don't think that's good for his career. I don't think we'll know. And I think when he gets into the run of things, he can play. But I think I can see the rationale for keeping him, and if that's okay too. But because we do need a backup for Saka.
actually think your rationale is pretty good. And really, it's probably maybe it's well delivered. I can't see it happening though. Like I can't see the scenario where he's signing a new contract with a kind of with the understanding that he then goes on loan out again for a season just to kind of as you say, like I agree. I think he'd really benefit from a season of games. But I think I think that there is that concern, right? That Arteta really likes to have a left-footed right winger, and he really likes that with Saka, and that's probably the reluctance to kind of play Nelson there. And so I do just worry to see where those minutes are going to come from, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Right. Are there any closing squad related comments there? I mean, have you guys? I tell you what, actually, given that we've just bid 105 million for Declan Rice, and I know we assumed that he was going to be kind of we're going to sign a player of that nature. Has that changed your perspectives at all on any of your decisions today? From from not necessarily what you want, but from what you think will happen? Because I mean, I can't imagine a scenario where we're not making sales. Like if we do what Aaron suggests that we've done, that we do, then we're probably going to be okay money wise, right? I'm sure the Conquers will be fine. We'll make up some of the money that we're spending. But I think Myers, you and I have had a bit more of a conservative, I think, outlook of who we sell. But it feels like I'd be very surprised if there aren't a couple of decent sales right in this team. I don't understand. I don't know how the numbers work otherwise.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't. No, I'm not. I wasn't sure if there's a question for me, but yeah, I mean, the Rice.
You guys aren't on mute, and it's just my thing going nuts again. Carry on. You carry on talking.
Yeah, I can hear you, Mike. So carry on. Okay. Yeah. What do you think? Do we need to sell players?
Yeah. I mean, look. Yeah, I think we absolutely are going to have to sell players, and I think it comes down to making sure that we get the right numbers, the right value, or valuations. Like if clubs are coming in, and they're hitting our valuations for players that we are willing to sell, then yeah, I think it looks like we're spending massive this summer. We are doing some serious business. If you're thinking 105 total for Declan Rice, 65 I think it is total for Havertz, you're looking at 30-40 Timber, and we're only a week or two into the transfer window. Yeah, clearly there's going to have to be some sales, but I think there's definitely players there that are expendable, and there's a few players that I don't think we're necessarily going to miss too much. But I think I think selling as many players as you think we might or would want to, Aaron, and is like that's a massive overhaul. Like then I think we are then looking at replacing them as well. So
we might have to, mate. It's better to pay for all these players.
I think the Thomas Partey one's a really interesting one, because I think now if Declan Rice happens, that could trigger a few other deals, and I think then Xhaka maybe goes. Like I think we've been waiting on Havertz and Rice to get confirmed or get done, and then we kind of sanctioned the Xhaka deal. If money does come, because Juve were linked with Thomas Partey, but that's not happening now because I think Rabiot extended his contract, and I think they're not looking for someone in that area now. So it looks like it's going to be Saudi if anything, and I don't think we turn down 30, 40, 50 million, for Thomas Partey. Yeah, and then there's the players that we talked about, like players like Holding, Cedric. I know Cedric might not generate any money, but Pepe, there's definitely players that we need to just get out of the squad and off the wage bill, for sure. What do you reckon?
Well, I totally agree. I think that I agree with that. There was always a plan on spending big, but I think when the reality hits, I think there would have still been a case of if we do end up spending that big, there's got to have been some conversations around how we're gonna, make some of that back. I do think that it could mean that players like Tierney, if there was about a 50-50, kind of get the extra push. So yeah, look, I think I'm still relatively reeling from the Rice news. I really wow, like it's kind of nice to see us acting like a big bollocks team, isn't it? Like it's just kind of fun. Like all these years of just kind of being jealous.
It's just, I mean, look, we could talk about this. I was going to ask a question. You could get into it and we could talk about it for a while. But if we hit those targets, if we get those targets of Rice, okay, Havertz looks like it's done. Timber, there might be one or two others, players that we're looking at. But they're three massive signings, right? Three arguably players that come straight into the first team. What does, from your perspective, for you two, what's the ambitions for this season? Because is that us saying to City, right, we're going after you this season and we want to win the league and we want to have a crack at winning the Champions League? Or do you think we're still building towards a squad and a team that could compete in maybe in 2 or 3 years' time?
We have to say that we competed last season, didn't we? So I think that
we competed, but I think, yeah, okay, but I think
ahead of schedule. Is that what you're kind of?
Well, we fell short by quite a bit in the end. I know, like points wise, maybe not, and everything, but look at both teams. Look at kind of when City won and all the rest of it. Like we fell off, right? So, yeah,
I think it is a squid. I think that we've currently, if all those signings happen, then it is a squad, I think, capable of competing for the title, because all those players that we had last season, all those young players are a season older. They should be better. If it's not just getting these additional players in terms of quality, it's also the breaks that they give some of these other players that can, hopefully rest and therefore kind of perform at a higher level more consistently. So I feel it is. I feel like they've just done, Arteta and Edu and Kroenkes have just done all the right things right now, because I think they've just said, right, if we don't do this, then there is no chance that we can maintain this level. And I think, honestly, like I really think that this squad, if all those signings come off, I'm really intrigued to see how we do in the Champions League. I'm really, really intrigued. Like there's man, I think we've got a better chance of winning the Champions League than the Premier League.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah. No,
I'd be willing to put money down. Like, I'm not saying I think it would happen, but I'd love to see the odds for us winning the Champions League over the next 2 seasons. Like, I'm not massively confident at all about the Premier League title. I think it's really hard. I'm not even confident that we'll necessarily finish second in the Premier League next season or even the season after. I think it's so competitive, but I think we're building a bloody good team. And I'm really intrigued to see how the rest of Europe deals with it.
Yeah, I think there's probably something, we've gone on about this plan, the rebuild, right? And this is I can't remember which phase we were in or what we were ahead of it, but this is phase 3, right? This, according to the plan, this is where we start phase 3, which I think in Arteta's eyes was, let's start to build a team that can compete for the title. Because last season's squad wasn't building a team to compete for the title. That's build a team to get top 4. And it almost competed for the title. This is the let's start building a team to compete for the title. Maybe after that, it's let's regularly win titles and win European trophies, right? But I think there's something to be said. But it's the 27th of June. Like, these players aren't even back for pre-season. We used to be a club that waited until we got battered 8-2 at Old Trafford before we decided to go and spend some money on players, right? We had that season where bloody Oxlade-Chamberlain was going to Liverpool, but we started him against Liverpool, and then we just left him up there, and then he signed for Liverpool for 40 million or whatever. Even though he was going, he still played, and we lost, right? Like, we were not a serious club back then. Now it's the 27th of June. Players are still on holiday. Like, Arteta's still on holiday. We're bidding big money for a top player. It sounds like Havertz has done. Apparently, there's some pictures floating around on social media this evening of like Havertz doing an interview with Arsenal.com,
I've
and
just seen that.
Like the website leak. So that looks like it's 99% done. Probably going to be announced tomorrow or something. And we're bidding for other players as well. So this is what we want. This is like, and on Declan Rice, like we bid 100 million plus 5 million. If City beat that and City come in, I don't care. Like, fine. I won't be annoyed. Like, because that's just silly money territory now, right?
Yeah,
We have
it's 100
stretched ourselves.
guaranteed as well.
We have stretched ourselves to the maximum. Fair play to West Ham. Have, like, negotiated this well. But like, fine, if City come in and put 110 million in or pay 100 million up front and 5, like, we can't do that. That's a player that's beyond our reach, and that's okay. I'm happy with that. So let's hope this is enough to get it done. If not, let's go and get someone else. But at least we've got a club that is sensible about decisions. I think we'll be sensible when it comes to selling players too. And I think we will see players that we like go, right? And if big money comes in for a player we like, if big money comes in for a Jorginho, a Partey, hell, even like a Vieira or Smith Rowe, we might sell, because that's the downside of this.
Yeah, it's probably a topic for another episode, but I think a potential next big sale in the next couple of seasons might be Gabriel.
Yeah, like anyone. I think anyone who isn't Saka, Martinelli, like, is probably sellable. If I'm going to be,
I think Martinelli is definitely one that I can see him like playing for. I was going to say Real Madrid because he just fits the Real Madrid mold, but I know they've got Vinicius on that side. But you know, Martinelli could go on to become a £100 million plus player if he's not arguably already, if depending, you know, on what you value him at. So yeah, there's definitely a few, isn't there?
So there's fair play to the club. Let's hope we get it done, but we've done all we can to get this player over the line. And if the player sounds like he wants to come here, we've basically done what West Ham have asked us to do.
It's 100 million up front.
Yeah. What else can we do?
Like, 100 million up front.
It is mental.
That is mental. I mean, I guess that up front, but it doesn't obviously mean this year. Obviously, it's not this year, so it could be over 4 or 5 years. But even so,
yeah,
that's a lot. Yeah.
Guys, we're at 1 hour 40 odd minutes for this, so I'm sure. Thank you for anyone who listened to at least the majority of this episode live. Russ, I think that's you. Legend, absolute legend. Thank you. Thank you for everyone else in the comments. Some confusing comments here as well, but thank you for them. And thank you for anyone who's listened to this on Spotify, Apple, whatever else in, 1 part, 2 part, 3 parts. I don't know how many you had to break this up. It was a really good, fun chat. Obviously sidetracked towards the end, given this huge bit. I don't want to get sidetracked onto that again. Thank you, Mize, Aaronin. Been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
And take care, everyone. Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.